you've got to change your attitude, not your latitude. It's easy to run away. You can be in fight mode or you can be in flight mode. And so often we want to run, but we just run with our problems. They don't change. And so I had to work constantly on my attitude. Now, there's a saying, the birds can fly over my head, but I do not allow them to build a nest where my mind is attacked. I fought with principles that I had learned from God's word on how to live. And that's what I kept my focus totally on, my attitude. Because you will either rise or fall on your attitude. Attitude is everything. It's number one.
Pamela Maxwell knows what it's like to scream into a pillow just to survive the night. After betrayal at the highest level and years of self-blame, she clawed her way back to freedom, not just by forgiving others, but by forgiving herself. And she wrote this chapter in Pat Mesede's book called The Turning Point. Her chapter is called From Betrayal to Belief, and she's here to help women shed shame and reclaim joy. And we're here to talk about all these things, right? To experience forgiveness, to quit the rage machine, to build our life back up together, to become a better self, to overcome the doubt, get the self-confidence, all that wonderful stuff. So Pamela, glad to see you, glad to be speaking with you.
Lovely to be here, Robert.
Glad to have you. And so what did I leave out of that introduction? What are you all about? What's your focus and passion?
My focus is to empower women to become free from the traps that they're caught in from betrayal. Betrayal will always leave scars, some great, some not so big, but they still leave a scar. And my passion is to bring women to the other side to a fulfilling life of freedom.
Let's do it. Let's deal with those betrayal factors. Let's get to the other side. And so how are women being betrayed these days? What's happening?
Marriage, massive betrayal through marriage, betrayal through relationships, betrayal through work. If you look in our world today, every circumstance and situation can produce a sense of betrayal. Wherever you turn, there can be betrayal. And like I said, some are greater than others. But I think for women, the greatest betrayal is in their marriages, when their partners betray them. And that's a very hard one to overcome, but one in which I've walked through to the other side.
Very nice. Well, let's get to the other side. Well, the definition of the word betrayal is a violation of a person's trust or confidence or of a moral standard. And so what's happened with you? How have you been betrayed?
In many ways, through my husband, having relationships outside of our marriage, through the betrayal of my husband with my children. I think they're the greatest things because they tear at your very fabric of whom you are. As a woman, are you not able to fulfill the needs? It's one of those circumstances and situations that I found thousands have gone before me. When I went through this, Robert, I didn't really believe that there was a lot of people out there in this place. But when you walk through this, you understand there are thousands and thousands that have gone before you. And so one of my dreams and goals then was to put something together. Now I'm talking about back in the 80s. And here we are in 25. And sometimes you have to walk through life to be able to be that help to other people. Because I can offer my hands of help to all of those who want to come on board and walk through where they are today out of the trauma they're in to the other side in freedom.
Very cool. So you turned a bad into a good, right? You get
Yes,
betrayed, you
definitely.
deal with the negativity, you say, oh, poor me, but then you find out that you're not alone, that other people have gone through, of course, not identically to what you've gone through, but they can relate, right? They've gone through all sorts of stuff. As human
Mhm.
beings, we always go, end up with all these scrapes and bruises. And so, what was that like in the pit of despair for you, right? We all go through that, and then at some point you say, hey, it could be better, I can turn my life around. What was it like in the worst part? What were your aha moments?
It was like I was in a well, right down the very bottom, so deep, no light could shine through to me. And I felt just isolated. I felt alone. I felt shame. I felt deep grief. And it's a terrible place to be in. You opened up by saying there were times when I would scream into my pillow. There were. And the most interesting thing I found was a lot of people do not know how to handle someone where they're in that broken state. They expect you to just pick yourself up, brush yourself down, and keep going on with life. But it was like I swallowed a hand grenade. It exploded, and I couldn't put all the parts back together again because they wouldn't fit. That's how I felt going through that time of betrayal in my life.
That's quite the metaphor, right? Swallowing the hand grenade. It's very graphic,
Yeah.
very descriptive. And I think some people can relate to that. And yet you made it through, right? You made it through here years later, and you live to tell the tale. And you've said that you have like a 5-step process to get from just that rage to get to release. And so what's that process like? How did you climb out of the well?
I actually climbed out of the well when I heard a truth bomb about what actually happened in my situation, that it wasn't my fault. They were the most encouraging words I'd heard in those years. It was not my fault. And because when things go wrong, particularly in your family life, you take the blame. You think you're the reason why everything went wrong. But in actual fact, that truth bomb said I wasn't. And that was the light and revelation. But my 5 steps, Robert, were what I put together when I was going through this, because seriously, I could not find a counsellor that really understood where I was at. And so, being a counsellor from the early 80s, I put together what I'd already walked through, and then some principles from the Bible, because I'm a Christian and I believe this was truth. The first thing I had to do was to understand that I could overcome my situation. I could overcome the shame and the blame and the guilt. And it was that truth bomb that helped me see that. I had to start to be kind to myself, not beat myself down, not say, oh, it was your fault, you are this. No, because that's not who I really was. That had just got clouded in all of the pain and suffering. I had to keep working on my attitude. You've got to change your attitude, not your latitude. It's easy to run away. You can be in fight mode or you can be in flight mode. And so often we want to run, but we just run with our problems. They don't change. And so I had to work constantly on my attitude. Now, there's a saying, the birds can fly over my head, but I do not allow them to build a nest where my mind is attacked. I fought with principles that I had learned from God's word on how to live. And that's what I kept my focus totally on, my attitude. because you will either rise or fall on your attitude. Attitude is everything. It's number one. I had to learn to build trust again. My trust had been gutted, broken. If you like, it was that explosion of that hand grenade. The trust was shattered in 1,000 pieces. Could I put it back together again? Was it even possible? Yes, it is possible. It's a process. And I want to tell you, you need someone there to help you through that process. You can't make this transition to the other side on your own. It doesn't work. And I had to build trust. I had to build trust, firstly, just in family, in my friends, greatly in men. That was a massive, massive building block for me. And the most important thing, you cannot even think of the words, I'm going to quit. You cannot entertain them, because I guarantee you that on this journey, it will be tough. And you'll face circumstances and situations that you'll think, I don't want to go there, because I did that. But I knew that I could stay broken or I could become healed. And my whole goal, my whole vision was to become whole. And yes, the final step was to know and see that there was still a bright future for Pamela Maxwell. That my life didn't end back there. It wasn't the finalisation of who I was or am, but it was just an event that happened in my life. And today I can talk about it. I can smile about the circumstances and situations, and I can help so many others come through to the other side of the trauma that they're going through because of betrayal. I put together my inline course From Betrayal to Belief because I believe that women, but I have heard of men being touched by it as well, but mainly women will get the help that they need, will understand life didn't finish for them there, but there's a great chapter to come. And that's the chapter that is awaiting them, that I believe was put in them before they were even formed in their mother's wombs, that they had something so powerful to give to this world. And they will be the hands that will help the other generations to come. Because tragically, man will always do their own thing, and there will always be betrayal in our world. But the wonderful thing about this is there's hope, hands of hope to so many that are out there waiting.
Very nice. Very inspiring. I feel like I just need to run 10 miles now. I need to run around the block, right? You've got me so pumped up. And so you've got a great message and it's really exciting. But where do you think the focus should be? Because many times you say something and people misunderstand or they don't pay enough attention. So what do you think is the big problem with people in the world right now? Where do you think, out of all these areas we could focus, like what needs the most attention?
That's an interesting question, Robert. Probably I would say the realisation that you need help. Because people can hear things and they can even read things, but until that revelation comes to you that you really need help. Because in this, it's a very easy way to live in denial. No, I'll be fine. No, I'll work it out. It's not as bad as it seems. Tomorrow is always going to look brighter. But the tragedy is, because there's brokenness inside, you can't find that tomorrow with that brightness. So I believe the first step is being able to acknowledge that I have a problem. I really need some help. And that was what my inline course was designed for people to realize I have a problem and I need help. And whether they take that or some other kind of help, the point is they need to acknowledge they're at this place and they need help. And they need to have somebody who they know, like, and trust. Doesn't mean they have to know them personally, but they can identify with those people. Oh, I believe that lady can help me because I feel like I know her. I feel like through her story, I can understand and trust her. And I believe the know, like, and trust is so important for women and for all who are hearing this today.
Yes, agreed. And you've been saying you can't do it alone, right? You need your help, your community of people, your divine scripture. And so as far as you mentioned stories, right? And stories are always a lot of fun because there's your origin story or there's stories of people you help. So do you have a fun story to share with us today just to kind of, make us think, make us feel?
I do, Robert, actually. I'm going to talk to you about the reputation that you didn't want. Now, I've got your attention because you're all thinking, oh, what did that woman do to get a reputation? And what kind of reputation is she going to talk about? I joined a rostrum group. Now, rostrum is a public speaking group. And I knew that down the track in my life, I would be speaking before people. So I started preparing at a really early age. And we had in-house competitions and we had competitions throughout the country areas. Well, we were practicing for a country competition in Warrnambool. We had worked really hard on our speeches and our adjudicator, our local adjudicator, was very satisfied that we actually made the grade and we might even have a chance at taking home that cup from the competition. Excuse me. It was long before the sun even thought of coming over the horizon that 5 excited contestants, all rugged up in warm clothes, because if you live in our area, it was frosty and freezing. We had our warm tracky suits on, our hooded jackets, our thick socks, and of course our moccasins, because only they keep your feet warm. And we headed off down to Warrnambool, and that was quite a few hours away. As we arrived, we hung up our suit bags. Now, the night before, we'd meticulously packed those. They had our beautiful clothes we were going to wear. So I was choosing a linen lemon suit. You must look the part because that is how you can sell yourself. That's half the battle. I had my makeup. I had everything ready to go. Lovely stiletto shoes that would look and complete the outfit that I was going to present my talk to before a very lot of people. So I proudly hung up my bag next to the other contestants, and then I went down and had refreshments, met the other contestants, and was very happy, but I've got to tell you, a bit nervous as we were waiting for that time to approach. But eventually our time came. It was time to change into our attire and wait at the bottom of the steps to be called to walk up to the rostrum. So just before I walked there, I viewed myself in the mirror. Yes, my hair was not out of place. My makeup looked great, and I looked fabulous. I had my mocky still on because it was just too cold, and I was just going to pick up my shoes, take them off, and walk up the stairs to the rostrum. So I went to my suit bag to get my stiletto shoes, and oh, my heart sunk. They weren't there. They have to be there. I remember. I picked them up. I put them down with my suit, but they weren't. I panicked. Well, that's what you do, don't you? I panicked, and I thought, what am I going to do? I've got to be up there in probably 5 or 10 minutes. And I tried the other lady's shoes on. I did the Cinderella act of the big sisters, trying to put my foot into that shoe, but my size 9 wouldn't work, just wouldn't cooperate. Well, what do you do when you're in a circumstance and situation? You have to make the best of it. And I waited for my name to be called. I walked up to the rostrum. I presented my speech, suit, and bright purple moccasins. I became known as the Mockingbird Kid. I was the Mockingbird speaker, and I never, ever lived it down. As long as I was involved with rostrum, oh, Pamela, she is the Mockingbird speaker. So guess what? The moral of that story was make sure you check everything thoroughly. I thought I had, but even at our Christmas breakup, can you guess what the team gave me for Christmas? That's right, a toned pair of moccasins. You might ask, am I wearing moccasins today? I'm not going to answer that. But you know what? It was a great experience for me, and one that I learned a lot from and can sit back and laugh about it now. And we can always turn whatever circumstance and situation we're in to laughter, because that is the best medicine.
Yes. Very good. Very nice. And so you deliver a great message that it will work out, but it won't work out by ignoring the problem. But we will find a way with the support, with the tools, with the strategies. And we've been just jumping around and talking about all sorts of subjects. And I want to make sure that in these last few minutes of our conversation here, Miss Pamela, that we talk about what's important to you. So in this conversation that we've been having, is there a missing question that I should be asking you? I just don't know what to ask you.
No, I think you've covered, excuse me, I think you've covered most of what I'd be saying, except probably, I believe the proof is in the pudding of getting results. And I see what I do, I see because I've walked the walk, because I've talked the talk, I believe the proof is there. And I often say, I am that pudding. Now, hopefully not rounded like a pudding, but I am that pudding. I am the proof. And people can taste and see that it does work.
Nice. So you're an inspiration to others. And so you're saying we can't make excuses. We have to show results. We have to work hard and think things through. And as far as you helping us navigate through these nuances of life and self-doubt and self-pity and all this bad stuff that, as you said earlier, like we don't even want to go there, right? We don't want to think about that. We want to navigate and experience the upside of life. How do we do that? What are some next steps, and how can someone find out more about you?
Well, I have a website called beautyfromscars.com. I'm in the process of putting together my webinar, which will have 8 modules, which will expand on those 5 steps that I've just given out. And each week there will be a new module, and it will explain the depth. And there will be opportunities for the participants to be operating in those. There'll be homework for them to do, and I'll be able to keep track of what is happening. I will also be doing one-on-one calls, so I can personally put input into your life, and also I can keep tabs of how far you've come on your journey. So I believe that that's probably the next steps, to be looking at beautyfromscars.com, and there won't be, it's not too far away from that website being completed.
Very nice. So that website is beautyfromscars.com, and we've been speaking with Miss Pamela Maxwell, who is a co-author with Mr. Pat Mesiti in the book called The Turning Point. You can search that on Amazon and find it. Pamela Maxwell is an insightful author, and she draws from this transformative journey to illuminate the path toward emotional freedom. And she speaks about forgiveness, getting through your own painful past, and most importantly, from betrayal to belief. And you'll find that course once it's set up at beautyfromscars.com. So that way you can experience the shift for yourself from victimhood to self-discovery and live the life that you've always dreamed of and accomplish so much, because it's not the last chapter, it's just setting yourself up for that next chapter. So as people are headed now, Pamela, to beautyfromscars.com, it's time for the scary part of the podcast where I try to stump you, I try to put you on the spot by asking about a fun quote or lesson that has served you. So what comes to mind as far as a fun quote or lesson?
This is a powerful quote, and I felt it was really fitting to finish. Dr. Breen Brown said, "If we share our story with someone else who will respond with empathy and understanding, shame cannot survive." That's powerful. Shame cannot survive. The shame that you get from betrayal can't survive if you're bold and game enough to share your story with somebody who will respond with both empathy and understanding. There's your key to freedom.
Very nice. So share your story and be bold, and consider that as we go to beautyfromscars.com. We've been speaking with Miss Pamela Maxwell. It's been such a blast speaking with you, Pamela.
Lovely to be here, Robert, and share with you.